How's she going, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, your boy Nev from Nev's Tech Bits. Today I want to throw down on you something I found on ThePirateBay.org. The Last Skywalker, whatever that new Star Wars is already available on the Pirate Bay basically the day it was released. Just come on down to the top 100. I like check the set every now and then. We got the Joker, Mandalorian. Mandalorian's really good. Let's face it. Let's face it. And geez, it's come down a little bit, but it's here. It's definitely here. Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, The Rise of Skywalker looks like garbage, but hey, if you're just after the story, this is good enough for that. This is definitely good enough for that. What's really surprising is there aren't any comments on here. We got a VIP who uploaded it, but it has advertisements on it, which is a giant pain in the butt. This is a very new and interesting method that I suppose organized crime mafia people are using to advertise their gambling sites. Getbait.com. Who's going to go there? Tanto, tempo, tada, fara. Interestingly enough, they provide English subtitles for the scrawl. I'm really thinking that if we're downloading this stuff and if we're viewing this stuff this early, we better be going to see the movie or buying the product, or they're not going to be releasing this stuff if we can pirate it this quickly. Like seriously, people need to pay bills, right? Kinds of reviews going online about this movie, and a lot of people are really butthurt about it. A lot of people really don't like it, and they're throwing up in the air the reasons why they don't like it. And one thing I want to point out to all y'all is nobody has liked the new Star Wars movie ever since Return of the Jedi. A lot of people hated Return of the Jedi because Ewoks weren't supposed to overthrow the Empire. I didn't even realize this until I started watching How I Met Your Mother, and Barney could tell, I think his name was Barney, he could tell exactly how old a woman was based off what they thought of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. And once again, Episode 1, people hated it. Episode 2, people hated it. Episode 3, people hated it. Episode, what was it, 7, 8, man, it's like nobody's liked anything except The Mandalorian. I mean, why even bother? Why even bother with a review? Because you know everybody's going to hate Star Wars. They knew everybody was going to hate Star Wars when they, what was it? I think it was a Solo movie they released, and everybody hated it. And Disney was like, well, you guys know if you don't like these Star Wars movies, we're not going to make anymore. And I see that going on here. I'm starting to think that Star Wars fans just like to hate new media, the new movies that are coming out. Anything that goes over the grand story they don't like, but they love The Mandalorian. Now why is that? Now in my opinion, people love The Mandalorian because it's a story tucked away. It's in the universe. It's a little part of the greater ball, and they do a great job of it. And who doesn't love Baby Yoda? I mean, absolutely love Baby Yoda. Now a lot of people are saying that they retconned things going on in the past, and the only thing I can think of that they retconned, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Luke trained with Leia. Come on, she was freaking... How can you not say that this didn't happen? In the book Splinter of the Mind's Eye, where George Lucas didn't think that he was going to have the ability to make 3 movies, he changed the story. And basically, Leia became a Jedi in Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And that was made directly from Lucas, okay? Now, they didn't need to go with that. They kept going. So if that's the only thing I can think that people are having an issue with. People are also having an issue with the Muppets. We wanted the Muppets, people. Come on. People are like, oh, there was big star battles. They're just pandering. Of course they're pandering. That's what they want. That's what we'll give them. If you go to McDonald's and you get a Big Mac, you're not like, oh, they gave me a Big Mac. They're just doing this for the fans. Of course they are. That's the product you asked for. You didn't want this CGI stuff. Let's face it, the CGI sucked. And the reason why the original trilogy didn't do too good is because the actors were great, but the actors were great at acting with actors. The actors were not great at acting with a blue screen. I mean, you see that stuff. You see episode 2 and 3. You see them with their lightsabers. Now watch the lightsabers and watch the shots coming to them. They're just flipping those those lightsabers around. They're not thinking, oh, okay, this is the point where I'm going to hit a laser and get to that point where it's the arena and all the Jedi are there. They're just flipping their lightsabers around, and the people who are in editing just decide when the lasers actually strike the saber. They're just flipping that stuff around. They have no idea what they're doing. But at least in this new series, there is so little CGI that I have a hard time interpreting when they see the old stuff, or when they see if they're looking at something, if they're looking at CGI. And a lot of people are also upset about the new droid, Dio, I think he was called. A lot of people are like, huh, you're just doing that for the, you're just doing that so that you'll have something to sell people. Of course they are, guys. Star Wars has always been about merchandise. It's always been about merchandise. I mean, if you don't think Star Wars was also about merchandise, as soon as the second episode hit, episode 7, and anyway, the second episode hit, you're out of your frickin' mind. Do you have any idea how hard they rushed the early bird special? And man, if you had the early bird special for the original Star Wars, you're a frickin' millionaire. The lightsaber for Luke and Vader, retractable. Okay, we all know the ones where you push the little thing and the lightsaber came out of the air. But there was a telescope, and it came out, and then it came out a little bit further, 2 pieces. Brian'sToyStore.com, these things sell for $10,000 each. If you have the original early bird special, man, you can go and get a car with like 50,000. I believe 50,000 US you could sell that for. It's always been all about the merchandising. It's always been about the merchandising. They made fun of that in Spaceballs, so don't be saying, they only threw BO or this person or that person for merchandising. Guys, it's been about merchandising since day one. Since day one. And I think it was, yeah, so Kenner were the people that ended up getting the license to sell, to make these action figures. Nobody wanted to make the original Star Wars action figures. And Kenner, just on a whim pretty much, so that, yeah, we'll make the Star Wars action figures. That's not a problem. We'll do that. We'll do that. Now, Kenner, for $10,000 a year, had to give Lucas $10,000 a year in order to have the license to make this. Episode 1 didn't come out until after Kenner decided to stop. Kenner was like, no, we're not, Kenner forgot to send that $10,000, and bam! Episode 1 comes out right after that, and Kenner has to totally change the contract, because Kenner had the contract stacked. They had all the good parts of the contract. But because they lapsed on it, the $10,000, the contract was done. Blam! Episode 1 was out. This is all about marketing. This is all about the stuff they're going to sell you. And they sell you so much stuff that the old stuff isn't even worth anything anymore. Man, before the new universe came out, when the Power of the Force line was out in the 90s, the original action figures were probably worth about an average of about $13 each. Now that the market has been flooded with the Power of the Force, with episode 1, 2, who's going to go after episode 3 stuff? And then after that, they release the Star Wars Black line. So they're flooding the market. They are flooding the collectible market with new stuff. So the old stuff isn't even worth that much, man. We got so much stuff. Go to any dollar store and you will find last year's Star Wars product. So if I haven't underlined it enough yet, guys, Star Wars is 50% marketing with merchandise, okay? Do you understand that now? You get that? So frickin' live with it. Live with the fact that you're never going to like any new Star Wars thing. That's just how it goes. They're not making it for you. And another big complaint people are having is the Force doesn't work that way. Now, I'm not going to break anyone's heart and tell them how the Force does or doesn't work or anything like that. But a lot of people that say the Force doesn't work that way, I believe you are scientific and not so metaphysical or magical. But if you're into the expanded universe, if you know anything about... sorry, I can't even say that. I don't want to ruin anything for you. But yes, the Force can work that way. It can. Midichlorians are in everything. And with it... Okay. You can, this is known, I'm not breaking anyone's heart with this. It's known that whatever his name was, could overcome death. He could overcome death with the Force. If you can overcome death with the Force, the things that people are complaining about you can't do with the Force, you can do it with the Force, ladies and gentlemen. You can absolutely do that stuff with the Force. So, you know what? Either we have to all accept that everyone that enjoys Star Wars just has their head firmly planted directly up their rectum, and they just like to point out issues, and they just like to complain, and okay. Then okay. Or we can just enjoy the stuff that we get. We can just be happy with the stuff that we get, and just accept it. Just accept it. Now, I don't see why we can't just accept it more, because science fiction history and canon is historically very bad. I, as a science fiction fan, has invested many a dollar, much money, to understand the expanded universe of different science fiction franchises like the Predator, Aliens, Star Wars, a little even bit of Star Trek. So you invest all this money, you invest all this time into reading this book, into learning this lore, into learning this stuff. And then you find out that, oh, well, that's not actually part of canon. That's part of the extended universe. Now, I got really ticked off with Aliens when so Dark Horse Comics was given the ability to write about what happened after Aliens 2. And they said, in the Dark Horse Comics, everyone survives and goes back to Earth, only to find out the aliens are already there. And then it gets real good, because it gets into the Earth Wars. They get into how, they found little pockets of aliens here and there, and they started dealing with them. But it was, all of a sudden, giant nests the size of Australia would pop up underground, and they didn't see this. Like, oh, this is getting good. This is getting good, man. The stories were so good. They had the Hive War. They had all kinds of great stories about the Earth Wars and stuff. And then all of a sudden Sigourney Weaver gets to, I think it was Ridley Scott, and she's like, no, we're going to take this in another direction. We need to make Alien 3 like Alien 1. And Alien 3 came out and it was a piece of junk, and they might as well have just taken a big old dump on the Alien franchise. Because I was like, well, the books, the comics, I spent so much time, and yeah, it's entertainment and whatnot. It's entertainment, but like let's say that we were doing something about history, and we were buying books to learn about history or biology or stuff, and then all of a sudden we find out these books that we got, this time that we've been spending learning, reading about this, is all just BS. It's like, come on. If I'm paying you $25 a month for a story, you better damn well make sure that that story is within continuity, okay? What I'm saying is just be happy for what you got with this stuff. And on top of that, you don't even have to listen to the Disney continuity. You see, within Star Wars, as many of us know, that there is different levels of continuity. There's Legends, and there's not even that, but like there's the comic book version. And then at the very top of it, there's what Lucas said. And then after that, there's what was in certain continuity, as things go down. Unless Lucas said that was part of continuity, it was just like Legend. Coruscant wasn't actually a place until George Lucas said, okay, let's put that in the special edition. And at the end of Return of the Jedi, you see Coruscant, a planet that is just one big city overgrown all around. And you see the celebration on Coruscant. So yeah, Coruscant is part of the expanded universe. You know what? Maybe Star Wars is just there for people to complain about. Maybe that's it. The more I think about it, the more it just seems to be that way. But yeah, get used to the merchandising. It's always been there. They're always going to be selling action figures. You see, they've been doing it since the original trilogy. Hey, bud, what's up? Come on, we all had these action figures playing 4 points of articulation. 4 points of articulation. It's the way it goes. Be happy with it. But just something I want to plant in your head. Just because George Lucas sold off the ability to Disney to tell the story doesn't mean that Disney officially has canon that is above George Lucas's, because Disney's story is different from Lucas's story. But remember, Lucas's story is number one. So in my heart, in my opinion, the Disney story is Disney canon. Okay? Canon means that this is actually what happens. The term, I'm pretty sure, came from the church, because when they put the Bible together, they were putting verses that were orally translated, verbally passed down to generation. So many books didn't make the Bible, like the book of Enoch, for example. The book of Judas didn't make the Bible. So I think it was Nero that got a bunch of guys together to decide what was going to be in it. So maybe we got to get a bunch of Star Wars aficionados together for the fans, not for the creator, not for the owner, but for the fans to decide what the actual continuity is. And going forward, if we're going to license other people to tell your story, you better damn well make sure it's your story. Because, for example, the Star Wars comic, the ongoing comic from Marvel Comics that was released, had a green rabbit in it. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a Don Quixote. And everything was just a lot different. But this was licensed. This was all licensed. Marvel sent information off to Lucas. The Lucas bunch was like, yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Like, come on. Are we here just to make money, or are we here to tell a story? Yeah. The more that I look at the way things go in Western culture, the more I think it is just to make money. Like when you look at like the credit crisis and stuff like that, man, no one even got nailed for that. But the more you look into it, the more it stinks. The more you see people that knew damn well they were screwing over the system, they're screwing over a little bit. Just how it goes. It's just how it goes. So if you don't like Star Wars, then don't frickin' watch it. You like it? Go ahead and watch it. But what Star Wars really seems to be, is the ability for geeks to get together and have a common ground and have something to talk about. People like to get together and like to say, hey, how was your day? How are you today? They don't care. How are your kids? They probably don't care. What do you do for work? How is your town? What do you think of Star Wars? That's it. That's what geeks do. It's just a place to go for everyone to talk about something that they all know about. And it's a lot easier to complain about something than it is to say something good about something. Someone told me that a long time ago. A comic book fan, actually. This comic book fan was doing reviews, and he had a comic he really liked. And he was like, man, it is so hard to say good things about a comic. So easy to say bad things about a comic, about anything. That's just the way it goes. So, Star Wars, love it or get the heck out. Just don't watch it. That's how it goes, okay? I thought it was freaking great. I really enjoyed it. I think they ended the series very nicely. I think they put it at a good spot. I think that, I think it's a good story, and I don't see what y'all are complaining about. And that's it for me. Nev from ThePirateBaycom. Have a good one, folks, and take care of each other. Catch you later.